So diet. What do you eat? And any thoughts on using superfood amaranth to increase fuel nutrition?
Amaranth. Do you know what amaranth is?
No.
I didn't know what it was either. I had to look it up.
You looked it up.
I looked it up.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
no
what is
stranger
that?
to looking things up. No
What is
stranger
it?
at all.
Fruit?
It's some kind of a grain, some kind of a grain. So what do I eat? In short, I guess you would classify me as a paleo type person. I eat steak. I eat chicken. I eat pork. I actually, for whatever reason, don't like the taste of fish and seafood that much, or eggs, which is really unfortunate.
Really?
Yeah, I know. It's really
Interesting.
bizarre. I ate a lot of hamburgers growing up, and I kind of didn't eat a lot of seafood growing up, so I just am not a big fan. But I eat a lot of steak, chicken, pork. I eat some kind of salad, just about every day. I love Caesar salad, so I eat a lot of that. Spinach salad. I put a lot of olive oil on it, kind of bathe it. This is Peter Attia, who's a really smart doctor and the president and CEO of something called NUSI, which is this nutrition science, which is the biggest organization to study nutrition. And he gave me a good thought, or the way he explained these salads. He looked at salads as a vehicle to eat fat by just putting a ton of olive oil, basically. So I've gotten into that lately and just really making these big salads with massive amounts of olive oil so I can get plenty of fat. So I'm definitely a fan of eating as much fat as possible. If you want to talk about why I do that, there's a book called Good Calories, Bad Calories by Gary Taubes, which is a fantastic book and gives a lot of background on it. Like I said, Peter Attia, who's just a brilliant guy who I've had a lot of great long conversations with because we've done some stuff together. And he's actually the person that introduced me to Tim Ferriss. I mentioned that on the first podcast, but It's funny. We'll go out for dinner and he wants to know about SEAL stuff, but I just want about nutrition stuff and his take on nutrition stuff, so that we have good conversations and good trade-offs. But he will, he explains a lot of stuff really well. And then another good thing, there's on the Tim Ferriss podcast, he did an interview with Dom D'Agostino, who's got a really good perspective, another doctor that's, a workout guy and understands nutrition very well. So that's where I have gotten to in my life. And I've got a long story, about nutrition, and maybe someday we can go into it. It's just the discovery, and it's just with everyone else. I mean, just the fact that I guess 25 years ago, everyone thought, well, not everyone, but most people thought fat was bad and carbs were good. That's not true. Actually, carbs are bad and fat is good. So it's been and I was lucky to have been around people that knew that early and taught the information to me. So that's in a nutshell. And if you want to get with the experts, then people like Gary Taubes, people like Peter Attia, people like Dom D'Agostino, they're the ones that can give you the science behind what I'm talking about or what I've experienced as well. Nutrition. Nutrition is also one of those subjects that, people vehemently disagree with each other on. There was a while where I was banned by my wife from talking about nutrition with her friends. In the early days of me being completely pro-fat and pro-protein and really anti-carbohydrates, when no one really thought that, 10 years ago, and I would be giving all of her friends a hard time about what they were eating and what they were feeding their kids. And my wife eventually banned me because I was problematic in that situation.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I mean, even just saying, carbs are bad. I mean, there's a lot to that, but to say carbs are bad, that's a controversial thing to say.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's another thing. And I keep saying this, but I'm not here to convince anybody. And if you want to tell me that carbs are great, good for you. I hope you enjoy type 2 diabetes. Get after it. But
but it's not like carbs give. See what you're doing right now? You're going to start a little argument right now.
No, I'm not going to.
Okay.
But because the bottom line is, this is stuff that I have figured out. I've learned from people. I've used it myself, and I know what works for me. And if you don't want to believe that, I'm okay with that. I'm not here to save your life. I'm not here to change your mind, you know? And it's the same thing, you know, you've heard me say this about jiu-jitsu, where I used to be really, you know, no, jiu-jitsu's better than this and jiu-jitsu's better than that. Now I'm like, no, actually there's other, and first of all, there's other perspectives, but also that are correct. And jiu-jitsu, and I actually believe that jiu-jitsu, I actually believe need to be well-rounded and all this other stuff. But the bottom line is I'm not a here to convert people, but somebody asked what I ate and I told them.
Right.
And
Yes.
that's what
Technically, that is 100% true.
That's what I did. And if you want to argue those points, don't argue with me. Argue with Peter Attia, argue with Gary Tobes, argue with Dom D'Agostino, because those guys are, I mean, Peter and Dom are scientists and doctors, so they know and they will give you the facts, which I could give you, but I won't do nearly as convincingly.
Yeah. We're not gonna.